Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to rant about numbers. I say rant because I don't want to do this as systematically and focus on Chinese as much as I have in the past. But I do want to talk about Chinese. And let me just start by saying that number systems are very complicated, and I could go on for hours talking about all the different number systems that have been invented in the world. And they, of course, can be traced back to ancient times. You've got ancient Greece, ancient China, ancient Arabia, the Celtic clans. Everybody's got their own number systems going on. But yeah, like I said, I just want to rant about a couple of them that I find interesting and I've learned about myself. Down here in this little image here, you can see Chinese at the very bottom. This is all modern Chinese. When it was first invented, it was like a rod system. It was even more simplistic than this. Kind of like Celtic, and I don't know, you could kind of compare it to the Roman numerals up here too, actually. Sort of. So, yeah, number system is fascinating. And I'll start by talking about Chinese, because that's what I always do. So, one thing that is striking about East Asian languages, and they all, Japanese and Korean and Chinese, all tend to borrow the system, the Myriad system is what it's called. Myriad means 10,000. It's a Greek word. If I'm not mistaken, let me check, make sure. Myriad, because I just learned this today. Myriad. Yes, from ancient Greek, from the word myrias. It's technically the number 10,000. It's also where we get the word myriad from. Some interesting bit of trivia for you in case you're in a bar and it's trivia night. Where does myriad come from? What does it originally mean? It means 10,000. So, as you can see, the Greeks also had this concept of 10,000 having a separate name, and you can only imagine what kind of ramifications that has for the way you think, the way you process information about numbers. Identifying this numeral up here, over here, as one number instead of 10 thousands will affect the way you think. And so in Japanese and Korean Hangul, I'll highlight them right here. These are both pronounced pretty much the same way. It's man. Man. Okay, so M-A-N, romanization, man. And like I said, they all come from Chinese. This Japanese kanji is the simplified Chinese for the character 10,000. And in Chinese, so if you look at that and look at this, and you're reading Chinese, they're both pronounced wan, W-A-N. I know in Hokkien, in Taiwanese, they call it ban, beat like a B sound, a plosive B. So yeah, the idea of 10,000 it's its own thing. And actually, ancient Chinese, it seems, had different variations and different systems that were used. So you can imagine, so since 4 zeros creates it's a 4-base system, it's a myriad system. That means when we get to 8, we get to a new number. So, do I have that number here? Sorry, I'm jumping around. Here it is. That's the one I want to show you. So, this is also its own number. This is called E. So, we've got our 4 zeros right there, and then if you look to the left of it, we've got 4 more zeros. So once it gets all the way up there, it's now E. It's another new number. And of course, in English, it's 10 million. So if you look at the decimals like at this, so if this is its own number, then that means instead of saying 100,000, Chinese would say 10 thousands. So it would be 10,000 in Chinese. And then 1 million would be 100,000. Is that right? Yeah. So 100,000 is 10,000. 100,000 is a million. And then they wouldn't say 10,000. They would say E for the next digit. There you have it. 10 million is E. Pretty interesting stuff. And actually, it goes on and on. There's a long, really extensive list on Wikipedia if you want to just wiki that. It's pretty accurate from what I can tell, from what I've looked at. And here is what those characters look like. There we go. So we went over these two. 1, E, and this one is called Zhao. And so that would be 4 more zeros. Help me out here. That would be a billion, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so is that right? I'm going to have to look it up because I'm not sure. Zhao. There it is. And indeed it is. Mega. What's that? I'm kind of researching this as I make the video. But yeah. It gets confusing, obviously, because I'm confused in the middle of my own video, and I'm not going to re-record this. But this is the source of a lot of frustration for people, because it is hard to like translate your numbers into another language. See, on the Myriad scale, it's a 10 to the 12th power. So there you have it. Right. That's enough of that. Forget Chinese. So Chinese is very interesting. The numbers are interesting. You'll have I have students who constantly struggle to read numbers in English because of this phenomenon, the Myriad system. So there you have it. Chinese is strange, interesting. Another language that I do have experience with that is also very interesting is French. And you probably know about this if you're familiar with French. So in French, they have the word, they have a base 10 system as well. But all the way up until 100, the numbers, the way they say the numbers or read them perhaps, is different. So they use the Arabic numeral system just like most of the world, right? So 60, 70, 80. But the way these are read are different. So 60 is 60. 70 is 60 and 10. And then when you get to, which is 70. And then when you get to 80, that's known as 80. So 420. And I have that written right here. Very interesting. I read that this 80 phenomenon was due to the ability to count on hands and feet up to 20. And so people started, when they got to numbers that high, they started to think that way, I guess. Although I don't know why they wouldn't do that for 40 as well. So pretty interesting. Yeah, the reason behind that. It's all history and it's all preference, really. They do in Belgium, Switzerland, and even Quebec, I believe. I'm not positive, so don't quote me, but or comment if you know better than I. But they do say septembre, which would be 70, and they say octant, which would be 80, and nonon, which would be 90. In some regions, in some areas, they do say that. And that came from, I believe that it was the Romans, so Latin. They tried to make that catch on, but it did not quite catch on. And so, yeah, really interesting. In modern France, you will hear people, and if you learn French, this is the way you are taught to read numbers. So it is a bit confusing as well. Modern English, we all know our numbers if you're an English speaker. I assume everybody in my audience, most of my audience probably will be. But they can trace back words like million to Middle English, the first historical documents of that. And also million comes from Old French. And yeah, this is just the ranting that I wanted to do for this video, just random facts and throw it at you and see what you think. Anyways, I hope you learned something about either French numerals, numbers, or Chinese numbers. Maybe a slight bit of history, random history. So yeah, I'm not a numbers guy, as you could probably tell. But sorry about the quality of this video. This one's a little lesser than the others, and I'm not going to do any editing for it. I'm just going to throw it out there and see if anybody cares or it helps anybody. So there you have it. Have a nice day. I'll do a better video next time. I've got another topic coming up that I really want to talk about, which is pragmatics. It's an area of linguistics that has to do with like hidden meaning behind what you say. So we'll talk about that next time, and I've got some interesting content to share with you from Taiwan about that. 99.